everyone. Thank you for joining. I just put a question in the chat if you can. And while we're doing introduction, how would you rate your current conversion and marketing process for your open houses? Whether your goal is to generate listings or buyers or both. Curious to hear your thoughts. So that's what we're discussing on the call today. I see some posts of like 6, 5 to 6. Michael said 5, Travis 4, 3, 2, 5. Rory has been building this out for his team, Rory Ellis, who's joining the call over the past, what has been 3 years, Rory?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So it's been a long process, and you get to learn it all in 45 minutes instead of take 3 years like Rory, which is what we were talking about on our last call. Is he wants to help you all save the heartache and headache that he went through, the issues he faced, and the not so fun stuff. So it's more than I thought. I was like, oh, we're just talking about open houses. And that's why once we did the conversation with Rory, it was like, we have to share exactly how these implemented, because it's not just a simple form sign in and like, yeah, that's it. Thanks for coming. So our goal is for no fluff during our calls. So we're going to go straight into the tactical, make sure that you don't have any distractions, please no distractions, so that you can fully follow what Rory is sharing and implement either with him or after the call. It will be recorded. We also have AJ with us, who is with Curb Hero, one of the many facets to Rory's strategies. Rory, AJ, thank you for joining, and everyone who's joining live, thank you for joining as well. Looks like we've got about 34 people right now.
Awesome.
Cool. Good to be here.
Yeah,
cool.
Great.
Yeah, so I know there's a lot of different directions we can go to start. So I'm curious, Rory, before you even have the open house, can you share what you do to prepare for it and market it? Like, take it wherever you think you want to go.
Yeah, I wrote some notes to hopefully help. I do want to tell a quick story as we start off, because a lot of reasons why I've done this the way I've done this is because of the time I've invested previously. So using different open house apps, listening to different people on how they do their mega open houses, what they like to call them. I've taken all of this input over I've been in real estate now for about 14 years, and I've been doing open houses pretty much the entire time up until I started creating my team and kind of been able to scale back just a little bit. But through this, it's been a lot of pain. I can say a lot of money has been spent. All these things that I've implemented in my own business have helped me get to where I'm at now, where we're not having to spend hours after an open house to have a good open house. I know there's like this stigma behind, if I do an open house, it's an all-day event, right? It's the preparation ahead of time, it's the execution during, and then it's all the follow-up and all the stuff that nobody wants to do after the open house. You're sweating, you're picking up signs, it's a hot day. So my whole intention behind this was about 2.5 years ago to make it so that it wasn't as labor intensive as it just has always been. And that's why I think a lot of agents don't like doing open houses. And if they do, maybe they just don't have the right cues or the right setup to make it uber successful. And so, I've listened to people like Chase Whitney and their tech stacks, and I've listened to other mega agents like in Arizona and other states that just absolutely crush the open houses. And so I wanted to, you could say, mimic them, right? I mean, that's the whole game of real estate, is always doing what everybody else is doing and trying to do it better in your way. And so for me, it was trying to just create a repeatable business, because I do want to continue to keep growing my business and growing my team. And it's very, very important to me. So I was looking for ways to stop having to spend a ton of money in getting new leads, because we have the Zillows, we have all these other programs out there that, a lot of agents just can't afford, right out of the gate. Newer agents, or even agents that are, more referral based, it's really tough to spend 5, 10, 15, 20,000 a month in lead generations. Trying to figure out a different way to do that, I've really honed in on my, open house abilities. And so in order to think about this in a total full circle, is really about, it's not about putting up like 5 or 6 signs and calling it an open house. Like, that's just not a thing for my team and I. Again, we're trying to create a repeatable process that turns into 1 listing and 2 buys for every listing. And I can't say it's 100% of the time, but I will say the majority of our open houses turn into 1 listing and 2 buys. And it is something that's very consistent for us. It's about consistency and really about creativity, right? Thinking outside the box, what you could do. And so I'm going to give you some things that I do and some examples that I'll show you on what we do to generate a lot of hype before the open house, so that the open house if it's executed correctly, will give you what you're looking for. So first we start off with like really building up a lot of momentum around like coming soon, even before we take the listing. Like we already know that we're like in this bubble where we want to really strike the iron hot when coming soon is in effect. But even before then, we do like teasers. So we know we're going to go on a listing appointment. And so I'm going to share with you a screenshot that I use on a regular when we do coming soons, knowing that something's coming. So let me
Yeah.
share.
And while you're pulling that up, I posted another question in the chat for people to answer. Would you consider yourself being able to consistently generate a listing client and two buyer clients from your open houses? You can just say yes or no.
And you think about that. I mean, it is a strategy that my team and I use, and we're fairly successful at it. And a lot of this has to do with the pre-work. It has to do with it all, right? But like, for instance, this particular one is for social media. So I can't share all the details of this new listing, but I'll share this. And then I go into like where it's located. Maybe not necessarily the neighborhood because I don't want to call out neighborhoods, but like for this one specifically was in Costa Mesa. So we're like, okay, the neighborhood in Costa Mesa, want to send me the details. Oops, I missed one. The other one is there's a slide that goes through like just some basic things I know about the property. Like, hey, it's got so many bedrooms, so many bathrooms. It's got a really awesome kitchen. It's got a beautiful backyard landscape ready for you to, have your evenings in the backyard. And then the last slide is want me to send you more details. And then of course says yes and tell me more, right? So if they click on it, it goes right to, what I ultimately want to start getting traction behind that, to start generating that buyer pool, right? And what's really cool about this is when you go to the appointment, if you do it far enough in advance, at least it's 2 or 3 days before your actual listing appointment, you could showcase to the seller that you have buyers that are interested in the market. You could also do this within your CRM, like Follow Up Boss or Real Scout or other things that you have to show buyer pool for the area. But this is just one way that we start targeting and start pushing this content out. The next thing we do is
Rory, a quick question before you go to the next thing, if that's all right, with what you just shared. Whenever you do the stories and people say yes or no, is it just a poll and then you like proactively message the people that said yes? Or when they click it, are they taken to like a landing page? What happens there?
It's a very good question because we don't have, at that moment in time with this specific poll, we have the workings of the property website, but we don't want to share it just yet because it's not fully listed and in contract. So we just let them know that, hey, you guys are going to be first on the list. As soon as we get the listing, as soon as we have everything dialed in for photos and stuff, you'll be the first one to know about it. And they're like, thanks so much. Keep us posted. It's always like super engaged, but it's me personally responding. We don't have like many chats or anything else like automatically responding to them. This is more of a really coming down to like personal touch on this site.
Yeah.
Well before the listing appointment. So I like that. Our state doesn't allow coming soon. You could still do this even before you take the listing. You don't even have to say coming soon. You could just say like, I have something coming, or I have a listing in this area. That's what I would do if I wasn't able to do coming soon. I would say, hey, I have a new listing in this area. Anybody interested, let me know. And I'll, send you information once it goes active. The next thing that we do is kind of in the same vein. So we take the property address at this point and I connect with my title rep. And with the title rep, I ask her to pull up a list of about 150 homes in that area that are likely to sell. And so we've gone through some of the parameters and some of the things that I'd like to see, like stay in years to be over a certain amount of time. So for me, stay in years probably would be 8 to 10 mark. All right, I want 8 to 10 years on the property. We're talking about equity. I'm looking for at least, you want to give it at least 30% equity, 25 to 30% equity or more. And then I want to be in a pretty good geographic location, same kind of neighborhood area. And I'm going to send postcards to them. And the postcards, I wasn't able to put them in my share. So I'm going to try to show this if it works out all right.
Yeah.
So it's something like this, very, very basic. And it's more like coming soon. For those that can't do coming soon, I apologize. I haven't really had that struggle, but coming soon near you. And then I put in here like the open house dates. And on the front, I go into the property website. And then on the back, it has like, tell me if you want to know your value of your home currently. And the real thing is it's literally just continuing to focus on these people that we do the initial stories in Instagram. So I'm going to go back one step. So the stories in Instagram we do on Instagram and Facebook and share those to all the different groups as well. And the reason for that is as this stuff is coming up, I want them to see nothing but me all the time and all the different things. And I'll go over some more stuff as we get deeper into this, but this is the first step, right? I want them to go to the property website, or I want them to check the value of their home. The one really cool thing I like, the company's called Corefact, if you don't know who they are. Corefact. What I like about Corefact is they're not the cheapest in town, but they're not the most expensive. Out of 150, I usually spend about 125, $130 a push in postcards. The reason why I like Corefact is even if somebody scans the barcode and does not enter their information, I still get all their information, which for me is a big deal, right? All I really want to know is their address and their name. So at least I can go knock on the door and say hi. And that's exactly what I do. So from those barcodes, now we're pushing into a seller pool. So the moment that someone scans a barcode, which we get these all the time, I just went on one 3 days ago. I get a barcode scan and I get an email saying, hey, this client, this address would like a CMA. And so then what I do is I create a letter for this client that I have scripted myself. All it really is breaking down the CMA that I generated in the system into like a bite-sized one pager. That's really all it is. It talks about some of the comps in the area. It talks about what theirs is different than somebody else's, and then what the value of that home should be in a price range. So I do give them a range, and sometimes they call and say, hey, it's way off. Well, that's great, because now we're on the phone, now we can talk. We have that conversation a little differently. But for the most part, it's the one-page letter, our CMA, and then I usually put a seller guide in there. And I physically print these out. Here's the difference is like I physically print them out. I put them in a really nice binder. I use really nice paper. I don't use the flimsy stuff you get at Walmart or wherever. I use the really nice paper, and then I go and hand deliver these folders to those clients. It is a little strange because you have someone come knocking at your door saying, hey, you scanned something. I just wanted to deliver what you asked for. But you'd be surprised how open people are. There are a few that I cannot lie that say, what are you doing here? I never scan anything. Get out of here. But for the majority of them, I would say out of the last 20 or 30 I've done is probably 2. So we'll say like 10% are people that probably the wife scanned and the husband didn't know about it, or vice versa, maybe. But the really cool thing here is the hand delivery. You get to meet that person, connect with them. If you don't like door knocking, this is really good because you're giving them something that they may or may not say they agree with, but you at least give them something of value that they can use. And one of the hardest things that we do as realtors, especially with postcards, I stand next to my trash can and just throw things away, right? Like I don't always even look. Mm-hmm. This is one way that now this goes on the kitchen counter. Mm-hmm. I hope that how much money we spend to get into people's kitchen counters, I just did it alone with a little bit of extra effort, and it has produced enough for me to make this continuing to go forward, which is really, really cool. And when I'm done doing the folder, I immediately go in my CRM and I add them onto my newsletter drip. So they're in my newsletter drip and they get my physical newsletter because they become part of my VIP. And I want them to feel like I'm here. I'm not just here the one time, that I want them to be in my ecosystem. So for me, it's a really big deal.
Rory, I have all of the questions for you. Can I interrupt you and ask you?
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
Okay, cool. And I don't want to hog the questions. No one's posting questions. So if you have a question, please post it and we'll make sure it gets answered. Whenever you do the postcard and it's a coming soon with the open house, I feel like that would take a lot of preparation because it's not live yet, but you've already selected the open house dates. You're putting that in the postcard. How far in advance are you doing this planning?
So for the states that can't do coming soons, I'm sorry, I don't know how to work around that. For the states that can, I usually know, we all know when we're going to go active on a contract. So if we say, I usually do minimum of a week and a half to 2 weeks. So when I take that listing, I need about a week to do professional photography and all the things that come along with preparing that listing. So I know if it's a Monday, I'll start the following Friday, which means I'm going to start doing that planning right away. And for these photos here, I have my assistant. I go and take a photo, like a really nice camera photo, just myself, take a picture and then have her upload it into Canva and do her little magic to make it look nice. Try not to use just a quick snap from your truck and go home and try to post it because you got to look semi-professional. You don't have to be perfect, but the first one is going to look a little different than your professional photos and all that stuff. But start planning that ahead of time because I already know when I take that listing appointment, I tell them that first day that we're active will be a Friday, and then we're going to go Saturday, Sunday open houses. And then I typically tell them our open house times are typically 11 to 2 or 12 to 3 or whatever your state regulation is. I right away tell them up front so that I can get those objections I have something going on that Saturday. Can we make it a little later? So then I make those changes, and then that's what we put on our postcards. Cool. And then let's just say in the end, I've had this happen before where the seller comes back and says, hey, can we make the open house an hour later? So then what we do is we just make sure we're available on the phone. If somebody calls and says, hey, I thought the open house was from 11 and it's 11:15 and no one's here, like we'll go and make a personal appointment at that point and go and meet that person. So there are all those cases, but you try to do the best you can to make that range like pretty much what you do every Saturday and every Sunday.
Yeah. Rory, I don't know if you know the answer to this question that was posted. Have you ever used Mailbox Power?
I have not. I actually have Mailbox Power, and I have, what is it called? Postcard Mania is the other one that I'm going to try here soon too. So I'm going to use both of those. I've used others before. I've used like 3 or 4 others. I don't remember their names. They weren't that great. That's why I didn't remember them. But I always keep coming back to CoreFact. One, because my title rep can take the names that she gets in her system and automatically apply them into a list. So when I go to submit postcards, the drop down list is with all those people already. I don't have to like upload. I don't have to do anything extra. Like it's already in the system. I'm sure some of these other ones can do that too, but the title rep won't be able to get in there and put that stuff in there for you. I have all that stuff put in there for me so the assistant can go in and then do the work.
Is it just like another login for your title rep?
Yeah, the actual title rep is connected to CoreFact.
Oh,
So
okay.
she can see my stuff. She can add stuff to it from their systems. So it's like really integrated. We use Fidelity Title, and they do a fantastic job.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm curious to hear what you think about Mailbox Power. I know that's what Chase uses. The main difference that I know of like a pro to Mailbox Power is they have a semi integration with Follow Boss. I wouldn't call it like a very deep integration. It just simply lets you like have a widget in the person's portfolio. They'll expand upon that
Yeah,
integration.
CoreFact for us is when they scan in CoreFact, it comes as an email and it immediately pulls up into Follow Up Boss as a new lead because it has the information from them. So it's not something we have to re-enter while we're there, which is kind of nice. It's not a full integration, but it works through email, kind of the same way. So which is really nice. But I will definitely get back to you on that because I have not used them, but it is on my agenda to use them and Postcard Mania, which is another one that does a lot of work around that too. So always new tips and tricks coming on. I'm always trying something new to make it just a little bit better. So absolutely we'll get back with you on that. The next big thing we do, which is leading up to the open house still, is usually about 3 or 4 days. It just depends on the weekday that we're doing it, but typically on a Wednesday or a Thursday for the weekend open house, we will start posting on Instagram and Facebook, like coming up in a few days, open house, give them the address. We put the actual property address in there for the property website, like the specific property website, into our posting with photos of the house. Now, I will tell you, I've done videos and photos. I've done tests on these. Videos do not work as well as photos. I don't know why carousel photos on Facebook and Instagram work better, but I just get so much more engagement on photos versus videos. I don't know why that is. I'm not reels and like all the cool stuff, but I'm talking about like when you put videos on Instagram or videos on Facebook, I don't get as much traction. I may get 300 or 400 views with a video, and with photos, I'll get 10 to 15,000. So it's just so different. Like videos and photos are so different for me. But 2 to 3 days before, we start posting some photos and a post about coming and seeing us on the weekend. The difference for us is we go and connect with all the local Facebook groups that are like, I put on here like trade, for sale, all of the community pages, the talk pages, and post that stuff going to open houses. And we typically do between 25 and 35 groups a day where we post that. And again, to repost it, it's really simple. You post it on your business page and then you log back in as your personal account and then share to all the different groups that you're a part of. And the reason for that is if you get in the right groups, there are anywhere between a couple hundred people to thousands and thousands and thousands of people in these groups. And you're just looking for eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking for foot traffic. These people aren't going to always click on stuff. But what I like to see when we start posting on a Thursday, which we'll be posting today, you'll start to see people sharing it with people that they know, right? They're going to put their name on there and it goes to their page or it goes to them, which is fantastic. The next level to that is send them a message like, hey, I just wanted to send you the direct information about this property, right? If they allow messaging back and forth. But do that Thursday, Friday, and again on Saturday for the first day of the open house. And you're getting we typically, the lowest we've ever gotten on these postings with views is about 3,500 a post, all the way up to about 15,000. And again, it's just based on just eyeballs looking at this property. And every day it's a little different. It's not the same photos in the same post. We do things just slightly different each day to try to attract different people that may not have seen it. And we do that Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then again, if we have another one on Sunday, then we do it again on Sunday morning. Again, it's just eyeballs. It's just getting people to the website, getting people to see the property. So
Okay, so to recap so far, your plan has been you do the Instagram stories to advertise the coming soon listing for those who can, or you can just tease it without an official. I don't know.
correct.
I don't want to get people in trouble, but
Yeah, absolutely not.
you do that, you get the initial responses, and then you do the postcards. When you do the postcards, are you targeting just the initial surrounding neighbors?
So the initial postcards are those 150 people that are most likely to sell. And the reason why I do that, one, it shows the open house. So it's going to show us, like, this is really what I wanted to get into too, was like, we're living, breathing our resumes, right? We're living every single day, and these people are seeing what we're doing. We're not out having to advertise like, hey, when we sell your house, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. You're actually doing X, Y, and Z, and I want them to come and see it. Because if they can see it, smell it, taste it, touch it, it's going to be less work for me to try to explain what I do while I'm at their house for the first time. So
Yeah.
this is just my way of like living and breathing my resume, right? I want them to come and see it. So I'm inviting them, and that's why the front has the property website, the back has, hey, if you'd like to know your value of your home, this is what you should scan and check out.
Yeah, and as we'll learn, it's just one of the many things you do to show the initial surrounding neighbors
Yep,
how to market. You're not just trying to get buyers, you're also advertising, you're practicing what you preach, basically, or what
exactly
doing what
right.
you advertise rather than just saying it.
Because one of the
Okay.
things that I have to live with is like I have to sleep at night. So if I tell a client that I do something, I got to go and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. The postcards, and then if they scan, you also add them to the newsletter. Whenever you send out a postcard, about on average, like when you do 150, how many scans do you get?
We typically get about five or six
That's
every
manageable
single time.
for
So if I
for
do, because I do them multiple times, we're not going to get into this, but I do it coming soon. We do it typically, we'll do it in escrow, and then we'll do another one closing. So we do three different sets of postcards, and each set gets about five or six per each.
So whenever, are you the only listing agent on the team, or are there other listing
Yes.
agents? Okay. I'm just curious how that would work. Like if you wanted to tell an agent on your team, okay, this is a strategy, you're going to door knock, but right now you're kind of managing that hand delivery.
Yeah, my little team is tiny. It's just me, a buyer's agent, and an assistant right now. But we are going to grow, and this will be a little bit more complicated as we go forward. But yes, that is the theory.
Yeah, cool. Before you continue, this is just like a taste of what you'll get on November 6th. Rory's going to be there, and AJ's going to be there on a tech panel. It's like an all day 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then even after, we're staying for an extended period of time for building and masterminding. Believe it or not, people said that wasn't enough. We did this. This will be our third time in person, all day building event with speakers like AJ, but also team leads and agents and operations managers who will be teaching step by step how they do what they do, and you could implement with them. So it's not just slide decks or like rah rah hurrah type content. It's also, I don't know if it just went small for you, but it did for me anyway. Yeah, it's all day 9 to 5. So the QR code is in the left side to scan to learn more. Limited seats. It's not like we don't make it a huge event. We limit the number of seats so that it can remain interactive with the speakers, because as people are teaching, we're just talking to each other. It's not like you have to sit and listen. So we build together, and it's really fun. We're going to have Julia O'Buckley from the Lawton team sharing how they've automated requesting showing feedback, which is awesome because that's been a pain point that I don't know how to solve, and you don't have to buy any outside software for it. And then we've got Jeremy Wilson sharing how they've standardized their outbound referral process to agents outside of their service area. They do 1,000 transactions a year just from that. So that's incredible. So those are just two of the speakers. So scan that QR code if you want to learn more. I just wanted to share that before we continue while we have people's eyeballs. Okay, after the...
Well, I'm going to jump into that real quick. I went
Oh,
to the
yeah.
last one in Dallas, and I'm still working through stuff that I've learned, and it's been absolutely phenomenal. And for me, it was an absolute game changer just in the last few months. So if you're thinking about going, I definitely would go. I was a little hesitant the last time, like, I was 3 days with Tom Ferry. I don't know if I could take a fourth one, but I got more out of the one day than I did with all day 3 days with Tom Ferry. So definitely something to think about if you're thinking. It's close by. It's in Vegas. Who doesn't like to go to Vegas? So
Yeah, and if you're going to Unlock, it's the day after Unlock with
that's
Zillow and
awesome.
Full House. Cool. Alrighty. So I did have one more question. Sorry to hog the questions, but you said you add people to the newsletter and the physical newsletter. What does that mean, physical newsletter?
So I do a monthly newsletter to all my, we'll call them VIPs. Right now we have about 75 people on that list. I don't put everybody on it. I've been putting all of the scannable people because I'm just trying to reconnect with them, and they're being added to that. That probably will change when we get to like the 150 mark. But for right now, we have about 75 people that we send these newsletters to every single month to talk about the area in which they live in. We try to keep it really customized. So it's just about, it's not necessarily, hey, this is all the things we do with selling and all that stuff. It's all about the area. It's all about what's going on. We want to be the informative people. So we send them a newsletter through MailChimp in the email, and then we send them a physical newsletter. And the physical newsletter people are, like I said, more VIP people, people that we do want to work with in the future or that we already have worked with in the past. And it's just year by year.
What do you use to design, print, and mail the physical newsletter?
So we have a company called, I think it's called Coffee and Contracts. It's a subscription. I think we pay $75 a month. It is a subscription that does like daily social media planning for you, which is really cool. It's actually stuff that agents would use and not just like, hey, look at what the market is doing. Like it's actual things that if you go back on my stories and my posts, it's pretty much all from them, which is fantastic. And then they do a monthly newsletter. And the newsletter, we don't use necessarily the whole thing, but there are pieces of it that I really like that we don't have to recreate, which saves us hours of times a month. So we just put in our little flair. We do like little add-ins to that newsletter as well, or we'll do like a recipe for whatever the month is, or some activity that we're going on. We're doing a pumpkin pie event in the middle of next month, so we're putting that information in the newsletters, like just to continue to keep driving awareness around that.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. Sorry to ask all the questions. Keep
No,
going.
no, please go ahead. Please go right ahead. The next few days, or the next day or so, is pretty much the heaviest part of all of this. I would recommend to do this, especially if you are not farming. I will be the first one to admit that I do not have a personal farm that I go out and farm 100 homes and just focus on just those 100. I will tell you that I go as the resident expert to wherever I'm going to that open house. I study the market stats. I know what's going on as if I lived there on purpose, because we have listings that are kind of sporadic all over the place in our valley here. I want to be the resident expert. Just because I don't live there doesn't mean I don't know what's going on. The proof is in the pudding. And so what I typically do is we'll do all the things that we were doing. And when we're in Facebook, we look for like specific audiences too that we want to target. Like, hey, we want to target everybody around this little area, this little geographic area. But we'll also do the day before the open house, we take 100 flyers and pass them out. We just go to every single door. We don't like pick doors. We don't care who we're talking to. We just want to invite the masses. So we do 100. And we just pass them out. We just walk up to the door and we literally just say, we just wanted to invite you to the open house that we're having on Saturday and Sunday. Feel free to come by. We'll have refreshments and, come on by and see how the house, if you wanted to be that looky-loo neighbor, like, please come on by. We want you to come by and check it out. And if you know anybody that you're thinking about want to move to the area, you want to be closer to them, feel free to invite them as well. And we've had that happen too, where people come by and bring their people, because they don't always know that things are happening, even though you're putting open house signs up. They don't always know that things are going on. So it's good to just get a good, spend an hour and a half just walking the neighborhood, passing out flyers. If they're not home, roll it up and shove it in their door. Just give those people a chance to know that it's happening. Just because we think it's happening doesn't mean that they actually know. And then from there, we get into the actual prep work of the open house. And that's where my team and I spend probably the bulk of our time. We use AJ from Curb Hero. We use the Curb Hero app. We go in and our team uses Apple Notes for pretty much everything. And the reason why we use Apple Notes is to have a uniformed area that anybody on the team can go and do an open house and have all the notes from that open house. Even from other brokerages, I have it so I can share it with them so they can see notes, so they don't have to call them and tell them these are all the things that are going on with the house. I write it all out into Apple Notes. We add the MLS printout. We add the tax information for what the property taxes would be in future. And then we add anything else like the school districts and the local eateries and all the stuff that's there, so we can be, again, the resident expert. We get all that stuff prepped ahead of time. And then I have the Curb Hero app, and I will tell you, hands down, the best app you can absolutely use for open houses. I've used them all. There is not any one that has ever even come close to Curb Hero. And I will explain to you why. One is the setup. So the setup as a team leader, I pay for the team leader account. It allows me to be able to have my assistant put all the listings in Curb Hero and then attach all the agents on the team. So anybody that wants to go do an open house, they don't have to recreate that listing to be able to go and do an open house. It's already prepared for them. It's got what we call a microsite on there. And all it is, a microsite is just literally what it is. It's like a smaller version of a full website that gives the ability to showcase like your videos, some photos, the description, and information about the property that the client will get when they enter the open house outside of the flyers that you may pass out. So we do all that prep work ahead of time. So when we get there, we just hit go, and then the open house app opens up either on a laptop or on an iPad, whichever you prefer. Or the person, they have QR codes attached to Curb Hero. So if there's a person that walks in with a mask on and they don't want to touch anything, like you can have them scan the barcode and they can log in right then and there. I will tell you from my team and my team knows I do not allow anybody in the house unless they sign in. Because one of the things that I'm really, really big proponent of is I don't want to waste the seller's time, and I certainly don't want people coming in the house wasting mine. So I want to be able to follow up with these people. It doesn't matter what the conversation is, but I just want to be able to follow up with people. So what I typically do in my listing appointment is I let them know that I tell every client that's walking in the house that we need their information because the seller is requesting. They want to know everybody that's walked in the house. And that gives me a little bit of an edge when the client comes in and is combative. Over the last 14 years, I've had like 3 clients that have said, I'm not signing in. And so I give them a flyer and have a great day. And that's it. And they get kind of upset and they walk out. The other people that are in the house appreciate it because I made them do the same thing. I can't do it for one and not for everybody. So again, all that prep work ahead of time, just knowing the market, understanding what's going on, knowing the comps in the area, so that when you're at the house and somebody says, well, this is kind of what I wanted, but I wanted the extra bedroom, you should know where that extra bedroom property is. So again, it's just learning the market, spending the time on that day before to like really digest what's going on. So when you get there, it's as if you're a resident there. And then the last part of that is mapping out where we put up signs. And I know you guys probably think I'm going to be kidding here, but we put up anywhere between 35 and 50 signs in open house. And this is intentional. Again, we don't play at I'm going to put up 2 or 3 signs and call it an open house. Not to offend anybody if that's what you do, but we're talking mega open house here. I want to make it an absolute production. And I will tell you why I do this. So we do it as far out as we need to be able to drive as much traffic as we can to that place. Over the years, when I first started, I used to hammer in every single sign. Trust me, I'd leave at like 7 in the morning. My open house wouldn't be till noon. I'd leave at 7 in the morning. I'd go set them all up. I'd come back, take a shower, get dressed, and then go to the open house because it was that bad. I've got to the point now where I just put up A-frames and put up flags on them and off we go. But we spend the day before mapping out where we want all of them to be. Like it's an actual process. So we sit down, we take a Google map, we print it out, and we say, okay, these are where all the flags need to be based on egress or egress or whatever's going on. There's a freeway entrance or there's a market that everybody goes to on Saturday morning. Like I'm posting them all over that shopping market because I want everybody to come. So we map out that intentionally. And that's pretty much the wrap up of like the day before, right? We really want to get a workup in this area. And so the whole team participates in this because everybody's doing them that weekend. And then from there, we go into the actual execution of the open house. And I will tell you this, I know this is kind of a really simple note, but get there early. Don't get there like at the time of your open house starting. That's never a good look for you. We usually get there about 30 minutes to an hour before. We have big like 20-foot open house signs and flags. And I mean, we make it look like a freaking car dealership at these open houses. And it's intentional. Again, you're living and breathing your resume. If you're going to go to a listing appointment, you're going to say, I'm going to do all these things to showcase your property as being the one and only in the community. You need to prove that. And this is how we do that. So we go out and we put up a bunch of signs, and we don't put up signs aggressively in like one little area. And I will give you a quick story. I was nearby my house here, and there was a green belt to a community that I was doing an open house in. The green belt was probably a couple hundred yards long. I put 12 open house signs in that little area. I got a call from a client that lived across the street from this green belt, was kind of upset at me and said, hey, I want to know why you feel the need to put up this many signs. And I said, it's literally just to get eyeballs and attention. He goes, are you trying to say it's going to take us 12 signs to figure out we got to turn right? And I said, no, nothing like that. But I guarantee it would be different if I was selling your property. And he got like real quiet. And he's like, I said, what I will do is I promise you the next time I come in this community, I'll make sure to scale it back a little bit. And the next weekend I was in a different city doing a different open house, and I got a call again. And he was very upset. And he said, I don't understand what I thought you told me you weren't going to do this again. Somebody else had followed what I did the week before. And I said, it's really good to know that you have my cell phone number, but it's not me. But when you are ready to sell your house, please give me a call. So you got to be a little bit more cognizant of what you're doing in the neighborhoods. But we do put up between 35 and 50 signs.
Yeah.
And it is something that does help. You just have to be careful where you put it. So
one thing I just observe in kind of seeing your strategy and how you execute it in front of people is, I'd imagine the cases of you being able to just show people and them coming in already kind of seeing how you work is so much more powerful than you telling them how you work. It's like this whole time you're just auditioning for when that time comes when they need to list.
And you'd be surprised how many times I've even been told that. The last open house that I did was person was standing in the front of the door. We had 3 other people behind him. He was literally standing there waiting. I was just staking in my flags. I didn't realize there was people standing behind me. That's how I was out of it that day. And we were still there early, but I was just hammering flags at a big front yard. So I was doing stuff. And I look up and I'm like, oh crap, there's people here. So I ran up there. I'm like, hey, we're almost ready. I'm just going to get it open. We're like 30 minutes early. So I called the seller. I'm like, are you okay? He's like, we'll leave right now. No big deal. And so I walk up and we started talking. And this person was a seller, but I didn't know that. They walk in and they're like, beautiful property. And we walked around and I gave him the whole tour because I didn't know any better, right? Even if I did, I still would give him the whole tour. I walked through all my bullet points, talked about the neighborhood. This guy lived just a few streets away. And he told me as we walked outside and we wrapped up our conversation, he said, I just want to let you know you passed. I was like, passed what? And he's like, I'm looking to sell, but I'm looking for an agent that does what they say they're going to do before I know that before they have to come and tell me what they're going to do. So he's, I've been watching you. We've seen stuff on social media. We've gotten postcards. I've seen all of your signs coming in. You put them in areas that you knew people were going to be. And then you get here and you just made this huge production over this house. And it doesn't even matter the house, like huge production. And he said, I have no doubt that I'll be getting a phone call from you today or tomorrow. He's telling me what I'm going to be doing. And then lo and behold, we're listed as property and where we're at right now. And we've had that happen so many times over the years. Just because people want to know, like, as soon as I'm taking them down, I had a neighbor come out and say, man, I have never seen a realtor work as hard as you do. And I'm like, it's just a normal day, right? But it's great. You get those connections, you get that information, and it becomes a listing. It becomes a listing appointment. It becomes friendships that you have in the future. And if you ever get stopped by somebody, they immediately go on my newsletters. They immediately go on all the information and never not get their information. Always get their email, their phone numbers, especially if they're I've even walked outside during an open house. Someone drives by and slowly I run out there. Hey, I just want to give you a flyer. And they're like, what the? Sometimes they drive away all quick, like as if I'm going to do something. But I run out there like, I want to connect with anybody that wants to know about the property because I want it to be something for the future. So
it's really rare for agents. Some in like a major metroplex, Dallas Fort Worth, like hardly any agents that I know of go to that extent. So you might think this is a waste of time, but that's really what's going to make you stand out, where you can get past that stereotype of like all agents are the same.
And I will tell you of just a quick incident of this property that we actually got that seller from. There was some signs we put up in a yard that was like on a corner. It was like a right-hand turn corner. So you could only go right. And I put a sign there just because. And somebody, older person, walked into that house that was on the corner. Not even the open house one, like literally just opened the door and walked into someone's random house. And they started screaming at each other, scared each other, I'm sure. And the guy finally came to the open house and he goes, well, you need to switch where you put your open house signs. And I'm like, what? I'm like, we're really strategic. Did I do something wrong? Was it somewhere random? Did someone move it? And he's like, no, it's on the corner down here. So I walked down the corner and knocked on the door and said, I wanted to apologize for this guy walking in your house. And she starts laughing. And immediately we connected, right? Because it's like, he scared me, I scared him. Like we just kind of lost each other's minds there for a moment. She goes, I just happened to walk in with an Amazon package and he just happened to walk like 3 steps behind me. And, it just happened the way it happened. So I thought, how can I make this into a funny kind of gesture? So I left that day. I went to like the local store and bought a gift card for $25 for Starbucks or whatever. And I wrote in there like, hey, my intention was to do open houses and not bring people to people's houses, and like made it really funny to her. And then I hand delivered that the next day and was like, hey, I just wanted to apologize one more time. And again, it was just that connection. I look down and I see another agent's CMA paperwork just thrown on the sidewalk there next to the front door. And I thought, which one do you think is going to be more impressionable? Like the one agent that just throws stuff on the front door, or the one that's like knocking on the door and creating a relationship? So it's been, you got to go above and beyond if you really want to make these open houses spectacular. and really get business from it. If you're just looking to put up a few signs and do a 3 hour open house, like find other things to do while you're there, because it's not going to be as productive as you want it to be.
Yeah.
And that's what's the stigma behind open houses, unfortunately.
Rory, we have 2 questions
Sure.
from people. The first one, I think I know the answer, but I want to hear yours. What is outside of the open house? Like you mentioned, like you'll meet people just walking down the, driving really slow and you stop them. Whenever you do have the chance to have a conversation with someone outside of an open house in person, what's your go-to method for getting their information and making sure they're in your phone?
Now, person that I'm talking to, like when I'm passing out flyers, or is this like specific, like?
I guess any person you're talking to that you don't already have their contact info.
I was golfing a few weeks ago, and I had somebody ask about what I did for work. And right away we started talking, and he's like, well, I'm looking to sell my house in the future. I'm like, cool. Why don't you give your name and your number and your email address? I don't hesitate, because this puts food on my table. So I don't play around with the conversation. I'm just like, let me just get you in my ecosystem, and then I can tell you what your home is worth. So at any point in the future, you could be ready. You just have to make it comfortable. Unfortunately, it's uncomfortable, but the greatest things in life are on the other side of that uncomfortableness, right? So you have to be willing to get out of your space and just ask the question. What's the worst they could say? No, I'm not interested. Okay. Like, have a great day, and just move on, because it's not, you didn't do anything wrong. It's just how that person interacts. But I just go for it every single time. And I will say 99% of the time they give it to you. As long as you're confident about it and you don't make it weird. Like, I want your information because I want to put you in my CRM. Like, don't like none of that. Like, just be more personable, right? And just be friendly and tell them what you're doing. Like, I'd love to send you just an update about your home value and just keep you in the loop as to what's going on. Even if it's 3 years out, I'd love to just stay connected with you. And if you ever receive anything from me that you don't understand or would like some more information about, just call me. And don't think I'm going to pressure you. Just call me or email me, and I'll answer whatever questions you may have. And you'd be surprised how uplifting that is for them to know, like, hey, I'm not just going to be beat up every time I have a question about my house or whatever's going on.
Yeah. And then really fast, can you share what that ecosystem is? Like you said, CRM, how are you sending them a home valuation? Like,
one of the most impressive things that I've had is, I will tell you, we use Follow Up Boss as our CRM. I will tell you, I struggled with Follow Up Boss for years until I met Elena and her team. Like, I will tell you, she has key technology that revamps your Follow Up Boss to have everything connected the way it's supposed to be connected in your CRM. Before, I was chasing leads for open houses. Like I told you, I spent a ton of money on open house agendas and things that I wanted to do and how I wanted to do things. And when I got connected with Key Technologies, it was a game changer, because they put things into smart lists. Anybody that goes anywhere and does anything, they go to a smart list. We still have to pick up the phone. Unfortunately, she hasn't taken that away. You still have to pick up the phone and call the client, but they put them in lists based on what's happening in their world. However that ecosystem is that you've set up with her, I will tell you, it's worth its weight in gold. I've spent money in different areas of my career. That was probably the best use of my money that I've ever used in real estate. And it was just because of the connection between meeting somebody and knowing what they're doing to be able to retouch them at some level at some point in the future, through text messaging, through emails, through all the things that they do to create these smart lists. I will tell you, it's bar none the best that you could possibly have. Then you have Curb Hero, that when we go to a open house and we have them set up, the really great thing about Curb Hero is the connection they have, the full integration they have with Follow Up Boss. So with Elena's team and all the stuff that they do, then we have Curb Hero. Somebody logs in, they immediately go into my Follow Up Boss account. They immediately start dripping and automations and action plans associated with that open house. And then AJ and I have worked together to get the address of that house put into Follow Up Boss as an integration, so that 123 Main Street comes up as their address that they went and saw. So it's as if they went to a website and saw that address, is really what it comes up like. And the reason why I do that is because I have another program called Real Scout. And for those of you that never heard of it, I would definitely look up into it. It's the connection between, like, meeting the person and continuing to follow up with that person beyond the automations and the emails that we get from the Key Technology side of things. They're the in-betweeners, and they're the ones that, based on that 123 Main Street address that I get from the open house, Real Scout then creates automations around that particular address. So what they do is they create a drip with the same kind of classification that home is, and start sending them properties similar to that property. And then if they go in and open something up, it goes into a different area, smart list on key technology. And I know, okay, they went back to the website or they did something. I'm going to go and call them now. And then it shows me what they've done. All of these integrations have been great. And the last thing I want to go over about open houses was on Monday morning, after all of this is said and done, we go in and AJ's team will send you an email. And this email from Curb Hero will recap all the clients that came through the open house. The really great thing is they have this AI that will rate your clients and give you who they think is the most probable to purchase soon. So my team and I will then use that list that just everybody gets that email. And then we sit and go through that list. We go through the list of people that came through the open house and make sure that everybody understands what the next steps of this client is. Even though Key Technology has their stuff, Real Scout has their stuff, we still need the personal touch to this where we're interacting with that client at some level outside of the phone calls. Like, what's the next step? What are we going to do to get excited? And I will tell you the one last trick that I do, which I don't typically share with people because it's one thing that like, it just takes the open house to the next level outside of the follow-up and all the things that we know we should be doing afterward is when I first get to the property, I go and do a quick tour of the property. You can do this anytime before. You don't have to do it that day, but it's best that day just so you're in the groove of taking video. But start on the sidewalk and walk through the whole property. Go to every bedroom, not closets, but bedrooms, kitchen, living room, backyard, front yard, do the whole thing, and then stop it. Don't ever show your face. And then after the open house is ended, you have a list of all the people that came through your open house. Go back to where you started the video, turn the camera around, and just say, hey, AJ, I'm really glad you came by with you and your wife and kids this afternoon to my open house. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come and see the house. I just wanted you to know, again, what the house looks like. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And then take that video and the video that you took originally and splice it together, send it to each client. And I promise you that personal touch, when you text that personal touch changes the world for these people. Because not only are you just doing like a, yeah, but you're calling them out, right? And you're saying like, hey, thank you so much. So it's that personal touch. And the more personal touches you can have from coming soon to right before to during and then after, I mean, all of those touches is what helps us solidify those one listing and two buys for every listing.
A question for you, Rory, and then there was a question in the chat. Whenever you send that video out, are you record on your phone? Do you send it from your personal phone to them? Or do you send it via email? Like how are you distributing that?
So I typically will just send it from my personal phone. A lot of it, I wish I would just send it from work emails or work phone, but I just do it as the simplest way I can, just because I don't want to make extra steps for that. But yeah, I usually use like CapCut, or I'll use the Apple app to be able to merge those two together and send it off quickly. Because I don't want to put a whole bunch of production behind this. I don't want to spend hours trying to figure out how to make the lighting look perfect. You want it to look a little just you, right? And doing it non-productive.
Yeah, more candid.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a question, Kimberly, and I'm sure others wanted to hear more about Curb Hero. So AJ, I'll give you a second if you need to pull up something to share screen. I did post links to everything that Rory mentioned. I think I missed Corefax. I'll put that in there in the chat. So if people want those resources too.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Roy. I feel like you just put on a masterclass for open house. And it's like, I love how
it really was an hour's worth.
Yeah, literally. And it wasn't like one thing. It was so many things. And some of them are like minute things, but it's just when you put it all together, it's like no wonder the neighbors of your seller are getting open house visitors, which is pretty incredible when you hear people say that, they're just not getting a lot of open house activity. Even your neighbors are getting it. So I'm going to try and share my screen right here. I don't know, Elena, if you can see it.
Yes, I see the scanner tap to sign in.
Yeah. So for those of you who haven't seen Curb Hero, it's free for solo agents. We do have a team plan if you're interested in some team specific features, like Rory's team is using. But literally, if you're a solo agent, there's no place to put in a credit card. We have apps for iOS, so like iPads and iPhones, Android phones and tablets. And we also have a web app. So that's what you're seeing right here on my laptop. So you can run our app from a laptop as well. The cool thing about all our mobile apps is they're completely offline, you don't need the internet, so you don't need to figure out what the Wi-Fi password is or set up a hotspot. So that's why we have a lot of activity on iPads and tablets. Or you can just print out that QR code, like Rory mentioned. You can just use that QR code. If you can't rip your iPad away from your kid at 10 a.m. on a Saturday, you can just print out a QR code. We have a super tight Follow Up Boss integration. Rory pushed us And this is a good example of how we are always listening for feedback from our users. But Rory wanted to get a tighter integration so that everything gets put into Nurture for Real Scout. And so now all of the address information is also going to be synced to Follow Boss. That's just default out of the box. Yeah. And so if you have any questions, you can just go to the Curb Hero site that was posted in the chat, and you can ask our support. Usually our support gets back to you in under 12 minutes, and we're happy to help.
AJ or Rory, are you able to share what that email looks like that uses AI to help score the visitors?
Yeah, let me grab one real quick.
And then I also posted a demo of Curb Hero if you wanted to like a deep dive into the platform. Since we obviously don't have the time today, that's like another hour's worth. I posted the link there.
Sorry, I gotta find a client that was on it.
Andrea, maybe I'm not understanding the question, but Andrea's asking, is it being sent to both Follow Boss and Real Scout? I think Andrea means the lead from the open house.
The lead from the open house goes directly into Follow Up Boss, and then there is an integration with Real Scout that pulls the information. So there's a couple of different ways that Real Scout does it. You can do it by tag. So you tag those specific people and then it will pull it into Real Scout. I have it set up so the initial pull from my CRM to Real Scout was done by tags. Once everybody's in there and then moving forward, anybody new going into the system immediately gets pulled into Real Scout once they get uploaded into Follow Boss. So whether that be like a website scan or a barcode scan, or it literally doesn't matter where it comes from. Anybody that gets put into the system automatically will immediately get pulled over to Real Scout and they'll start those searches based on what they're doing.
Yep. And not to get too techy, but basically you just do that in the lead flow. Mm-hmm. In the initial automation or action plan you start, you just add the Real Scout tag.
Oh, all right. So this is one that looks like, here it is. Okay, so this is what one of those emails looks like. It will go through like highlights of what each thing is. So one's opted in to connect to your paired lender. So saying that one of the questions on there is saying like, hey, did you get information on this specific client? They indicated like, yes, they are not represented by an agent. So all the green dots. The red dots are they are represented by a client. And then the ones that are like the little stars, meaning that these 5 are ones that are most open and ready to move forward with the client. And so for us, we look at these 5 first, and then we go into our Follow Up Boss database and say like, okay, does that coincide with the notes that you took? How does that look? And then if they're different, then we still highlight those people from the AI list and make sure in Follow Up Boss they are highlighted that way so that we know these are the ones that we're going to want to stay really, really close to and see what they produce over the next week or two. Because we do like a 10 days of pain with all these people too. We're calling, we're texting, we're emailing, we're doing all those things. We have a lot of touch points, and then we also use street text to help with like remarketing to all these people. So anybody comes in the open house, immediately starts retargeting with those people. So they see me everywhere once they're in my ecosystem. It's not just that one time at an open house.
Yeah, you do all of the things.
All of it. And what I would encourage everybody, I know there's a lot going on. I am totally open and available. You guys can call, text, email me. I'll be more than happy to walk you through whatever step you'd like to talk about. But what I would encourage you to wrap up is just think of like 1 or 2 things that you can do to better your open houses. It doesn't have to do everything all at one time, but like what's 1 or 2 things that you can pull from this that you could be able to put in your own business to drive results. Because I guarantee you, any one of these steps added to your open houses, I promise you, it will make leaps and bounds in your success in open houses.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Rory, thank you so much. You were just such an open book and shared everything. I'm putting this back up on the screen. Like I mentioned, this is just a little taste. This was only an hour's worth, and you had to talk to us through chat. So that's what I love about the lab is you're going to be talking to people like Rory and AJ in person, talking to the speakers in person. Both of them will be there. So, hey, if you want a chance to ask Rory or AJ any questions in person, you can. And people were asking throughout, was this recorded? Yes, it was. And anyone who registered will get the recording as well. We usually host webinars like this once a week or once every other week that are tactical sessions. So be sure to subscribe to us at myrecc.com so you know about upcoming webinars. But AJ, Rory, thank you so much for your time. This was super fun.
Appreciate everybody. Thanks everybody joining.
Thank you, everyone.